Right now, nearly 3,000 kilometers away, military escalations continue to fracture West Asia. Here in India, the daily routine of a bustling street market feels completely insulated from that violence. A recent assessment by the United Nations Development Program breaks that perceived distance. This headline warns the conflict threatens to push 2.5 million Indians into poverty. Globally, the UNDP estimates 8.8 million people are at risk. Long-term, India is expected to lose between 0.03 and 0.12 years of progress on its Human Development Index. Geopolitical boundaries offer no immunity to these projections. If these trends hold, a foreign conflict could become an invasive economic force inside the Indian household. This flowchart illustrates the triple shock, the mechanism that links a geopolitical crisis abroad to a financial crisis at home. The first point of failure is energy security. India's domestic economy runs on imported power. The dependency is massive. India relies on imports for over 90% of its total oil needs and sources 90% of its liquefied petroleum gas specifically from West Asia. When regional tension rises, the cost of securing those fuels can spike instantly, triggering immediate inflation for consumers. The second shock hits the supply chain through the freight effect. This map of the Arabian Sea shows how shipping lanes react to conflict. Cargo vessels are forced into longer, sweeping detours to avoid danger zones. These longer routes increase fuel consumption and logistics costs. That increase acts as a hidden tax, eroding the purchasing power of every household. High reliance on foreign energy and fragile shipping routes ensures that the financial burden of a distant war is transferred to the everyday consumer. The third shock moves from the household to the national level: budgetary strain. When fuel prices spike, the government is often forced to increase domestic subsidies to prevent a broader economic panic. Money redirected to stabilize gas prices is pulled away from essential social welfare schemes like public health care and education. This diversion of social funding causes the quantifiable decline in the Human Development Index outlined in the UNDP report. Heavily exposed nations like Iran are projected to lose as much as 1.5 years of total human development progress. While India's projected loss is smaller, 0.12 years still represents millions of setbacks in classroom funding and hospital resources. Surviving an immediate energy crisis often requires sacrificing the nation's long-term social evolution. We can evaluate this sequence of events as an objective policy case study. This scenario aligns with a formal exam prompt: evaluate the impact of regional conflicts in West Asia on India's goal of poverty alleviation and human development. The argument begins with the hard data: India's projected poverty rate increase from 23.9% to 24.2%. The response addresses the economic impact of purchasing power loss, the social impact of the HDI decline, and the specific vulnerability of the South Asian region. Effective policy analysis transforms raw statistics into a structured framework for decision-making. A final policy analysis must ask how a nation can insulate its poor from wars it does not control. One essential solution is energy diversification, breaking the 90% dependency on West Asian resources. Another is supply chain resilience, creating alternative logistical networks that can withstand sudden regional shocks. These strategies are the primary defensive shields for domestic poverty alleviation programs. National security depends on the integrity of the supply chains that feed, fuel, and protect the nation's most vulnerable citizens.